Hi, I'm Jenny Hibberd, aka Hibbword, and I'm a spoken word poet, a musician, and freelance tutor. Incredibly open mind that I've gathered from maybe not fitting in so much, realizing that that is actually who I am, and then running with it like a kite, and being extremely open and perceptive and receptive to any little bursts of inspiration or kind of messing with anything that I'm looking at as well. Like my eyes are always trying to mess with things, like words or finding faces in things, or I don't know, turning things into other things, always trying to see what things aren't or could be. So I actually became a writer from 2 months of intensive meditation. Before that, I had no idea I could write. I didn't write. When I did, it was terrible. It was just bog standard, school like submissions. And then when I had a chance to, instead of going home after first year of uni, I stayed and I lived in a flat by myself for about 2 months. And over that time, I meditated as much as possible, and I started looking at things like Zen Buddhism and haikus and kind of momentary mindfulness and things. And one day something shifted in my brain, and it was like everything fell out. It was just like I just like threw up so much poetry, and I was like, what? Like, I didn't have no idea I was a writer, like absolutely no idea. I knew I loved reading, and I knew I loved like theatre and art, but I had no idea I could write. It was just absolutely like, what? I guess from kind of calming down the absolute cacophony in my brain and switching that radio channel to something a lot more audible rather than just white noise and mania, I was able to decipher all of this love of language. And now, yeah, I've meditated on and off since, but like in the last, I'd say, few months, I've been meditating every single day. And my main port of call is just to meditate just before I go to bed, because that's the time when usually my brain is the most wired and ready to be on, like, oh, it's midnight, let's go and do everything. And it's like, Jen, you need to go to sleep because tomorrow you do everything. And it's like, but why isn't it tomorrow already? And so I have to kind of meditate through and process what's happened in the day. And also like kind of, well, one thing I really like to do is send out love to as many people as I can think of, and mainly the people I know who need it at that time, and then kind of go through what I'm going to do the next day, so then I'm not as confused when I wake up, because I have incredibly tumultuous dreams sometimes, very, very vivid and very, very lucid, and so I sometimes wake up completely not knowing which realm I'm in and what my name is and all of that. So it's actually super useful to kind of process all of the stuff that's happened in the day and then just calm and be ready for the next day, if that makes any sense. Because another thing is I'm very sensitive to people's emotions, and so I sometimes can accidentally let a lot of what people bring to me into my own energy, and that can be really detrimental to my own energy, because that means I might get really drained, or I might end up picking up like 10 pieces of negative energy over the day, and then I have I might be cycling home like, why am I really heavy? I feel really heavy, and then I'll run through the day and pinpoint the 10 points when that negative energy came at me, and honestly, I bet you about 80% of that will not even be anything to do with me. It will just be people near me who are having the negative time, and then I'll just, because I'm near and I have loads of empathy, I'll just absorb it all like this emotional sponge, and then not realise, and then later on be like, oh, okay, now I need to work through this. But that's like, I know that I need to do that. Then I can also speak in ways and use that in my words and my music to kind of maybe empathise with them or empathise with myself, in turn to kind of share, I guess, my lessons or even just experiences. But then on the other hand, it can sometimes be it can be the opposite. It can sometimes be a bit negative, just on the pure sense of when I think too much about what other people feel, and then I end up maybe trying to do like having expectations on the thing, or trying too much to please, which I've had to get away from a lot. But yeah, no, I think generally, yeah, it's really helpful for creativity, because you can really, really feel what other people feel and add that into your own experience, and kind of view and approach different topics and themes with your head and about 10 other heads in your head. I suppose there was the mindset of when I was younger, there was a lot of trying to fit in into social circles and never really fitting in, basically. Like, either I was insane or a boffin. Like, they were the two kind of labels given to me. Like, when I spoke, people just didn't understand what I was saying because they thought I was mad, like just off the wall, or they thought I was too clever. Obviously that's a thing in primary school, isn't it? Like, oh, you're far too intelligent for us. Or like, not even that I was more intelligent than them, it's just the fact that they weren't kind of open to being a little bit silly or whatever. And so I was kind of boxed into these two things, and kind of ostracized a lot in primary school. And then from that, I tried so hard to kind of put myself in circles like, hello, can I be your friend? And just no one wanted to be my friend. So I was just like, okay, right, I'll just sit and read. And that was actually quite nice in a way, even though it was a bit sad, obviously. But, it was kind of nice to get all that time to just read and be on my own. And I ended up actually hanging out with some of the most bizarre characters on the playground. Like, there was this one guy with Asperger's with his carer, and he was the most hilarious. He used to call me Pascal because I looked like Pascal from the Gladiators. At the end of the programme, there was one of the contenders. And then he used to have this little, family fortunes button. So, like that. And so whenever he was talking to people, if he didn't like what they were saying, he'd just press it. It was hilarious. And then I also had like the odd friend, like a lot younger than me, just because they were like maybe on the playground on a limb or whatever. But in a weird way, it was a bit of a lonely kind of school time. But I think that gave me the opportunity to just kind of do my own thing in a way. And then once I got a lot older and started to realise that actually all of those voices that I was trying to quell and all the kind of personality that was mine, and I was trying to quash it and stop myself being myself to fit in. And once I got a lot older and realised that is me, and if they didn't like that, then screw everything. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, let's just be myself now. And since that, obviously, then I've started, getting this wider network of friends. So it's almost like interesting to see that trying to fit in doesn't work and trying not to fit in works. Well, trying not to fit in doesn't work because you then fit in. It's very confusing. Basically, everything is human and fallible. I guess I was just trying to fit in. Like, I tried to pretend to like fashion, and I tried to pretend to like makeup and do my hair and stuff like that. And it just didn't work. I think I just obviously wasn't meant to hang around with those people, but that's okay because I don't know any of them anymore. And obviously it's just, each to their own kind of thing. So that's cool. I ended up actually in primary school, like, I was already like into football and a bit of a tomboy and kind of just running around doing stuff, and I ended up actually just kind of chilling with the guys because a lot of the guys there were just unassuming and just played football, and that was pretty much what you see is what you get, and I kind of liked that. But obviously they still had their like lad kind of group, so sometimes I wasn't part of that, but then I'd just go and do whatever, read my book or whatever. But it was kind of funny seeing the difference between all the girls who were in their cliques. This is literally primary school, like brutal primary school, all their cliques around the playground, kind of, oh, this is our group and there are 4 of us exactly and there were 2 twos, so I couldn't join that because that would just like ruin everything. Or like another group who I didn't actually really want to be friends with, but I was like, maybe I can try. But then it was like, with the guys, you just play football and that was it. There wasn't any like trying to fit in, you just play because you are playing a game. Like, there's no mind games rather than real games, which was, no. Kids can be pretty brutal. But then I think that's, even though it seems sad, it is definitely shaped me now, because now I look back and I'm like, yeah, I am that person. Like, even though I'm happy to be on a playground all by myself now, which is kind of a good lesson for life, I guess, because you can really only rely on yourself, technically, and you have to love yourself, otherwise how can you love anyone else? Mindful. I'm living in the moment. There's nothing quite like the gift of the present. Living every minute without judgment, to alleviate assumption and begrudgment. A forest of gumption in a practical tense does not require tactical sense. Ease and flow, weave your ebb to slow. So you linger, longer, on now's ledge. You know, you won't be on the edge because you're right in the middle of a complex cosmic curious riddle. A furious focused fiddle plays fulfillment for your mind. So you can just be. Here and now, with the rest of mankind, catching the world in its musical drift, a sonic batch of waves to unfurl and to shift. Stereotypes are sound reproductions from the past, so listen deep for the novel noises now has cast. Compare now to nothing else. It's like nothing you've sensed before, nothing you've known, nothing you've sown. It's the now thing that you can't ignore. It's the rustle of a new leaf on a new page of your life. It's a hustle of a fresh note for the atmosphere that's rife with bustle but no hassle. Things just happen. However much we be measuring and mapping, the more we understand, the less we'll need to know. So just kick back, enjoy every free milestone show, every spontaneous outburst, every momentary overflow. If we saw our lives to history, spontaneity might always be a mystery. Crisp originality, it comes from imp-revised frugality, a sort of thought that's half about the world and half about we, that still has space for our mind to relax in, to mull over the lull of a task that's not taxing. First, a lengthy chill out. Then comes inspiration. But don't let your mind run away with self-elation. Tune back into the temporary wild. Let yourself be witched and beguiled. Switch straight back to right inside your own head. See which winks, thinks and links join your lone thread. Flee the scene of where you are to gather notions from afar. Return to brew authentic potions even a magician could never mar. Together with the earth, there's wizardry in being. So for the birth of you and your idea, why not resort to conscious freeing?